1888. The air was thick with smoke, fog and fear. In the slums of Whitechapel, life was harsh. Poverty, overcrowding, and despair ruled the narrow streets. But nothing could prepare the people of London for what was about to happen. Something ancient, primal, and unspeakably violent was about to awaken in the heart of the city. It began on August 31st, 1888. The body of Mary Ann Nichols, known to friends as Polly, was found lying in Buckus Row. Her throat had been cut twice, and her abdomen ripped open with brutal precision. The police arrived quickly, but there was no sign of struggle, no witnesses, and no clue. She was a woman of the streets, like so many others in Whitechapel. Poor, homeless, and forgotten by society. But now she was part of something much darker. The newspapers called it the Whitechapel murder. The city barely had time to catch its breath before the next horror struck. Just over a week later, on September 8th, 1888, another woman was found dead. Her name was Annie Chapman. Her body was discovered in the backyard of 29 Hanbury Street. Her throat had been cut, her body mutilated, and her organs carefully removed. The police surgeon stated that whoever committed the act must have had knowledge of anatomy. London's press went wild. The headlines screamed, "Another horrible murder in Whitechapel." The city descended into chaos. Fear spread faster than the fog. Women were terrified to walk the streets. Men were questioned, arrested, and released. The police had no answers. And then the letters began to arrive. The Central News Agency received a letter written in red ink. It read, "Dear boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I love my work and want to start again. You'll soon hear of me with my funny little games." It was signed, Jack the Ripper. The name was born. The world would never forget it. Soon after, another letter arrived, along with a small box containing half a human kidney. The note read, "From hell. Mr. Lusk, sir, I send you half the kidney I took from one woman. I fried and ate the other piece. Catch me when you can." Signed, Jack the Ripper. The city froze in terror. The killer wasn't just murdering, he was taunting. The newspapers printed the letters, and fear became hysteria. The streets emptied after dark. London had never seen anything like it. On September 30th, the Ripper struck again. 2 victims in one night, Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes. Stride's throat was cut, but she had not been mutilated. It was believed the killer had been interrupted. Less than an hour later, Eddowes was found in Mitre Square, her body horribly mutilated. Her face was disfigured beyond recognition. The killer had vanished into the fog once more. By November 9th, 1888, the Ripper's final and most brutal murder took place. Mary Jane Kelly, the youngest of the victims, was found in her small room in Miller's Court. The scene was unspeakable. Her body had been mutilated almost beyond human form. The walls were covered in blood. The police officers who entered the room would never forget what they saw. One said later, "I hope to God I never see such a sight again." Then, as suddenly as the murders began, they stopped. The city waited for more. Weeks passed, then months, then years. But the killer was gone. No one knew who he was or why he stopped. The legend of Jack the Ripper had begun. The investigation was massive. More than 2,000 people were interviewed, 300 were investigated, and 80 detained. Detectives from Scotland Yard worked tirelessly, but evidence was scarce. There were no fingerprints, no surveillance, no forensic science. The Ripper seemed to move through the fog like a ghost. Many suspects were named. Montague John Druitt, a troubled lawyer who took his own life soon after the last murder. Aaron Kosminski, a into an asylum, Michael Ostrog, a Russian criminal, and even Sir William Gull, the Queen's physician, accused by conspiracy theorists of being part of a royal cover-up. Some even whispered that Prince Albert Victor himself was involved, but none of the theories were ever proven. The killings exposed the darker side of Victorian London, the divide between the wealthy and the poor, the neglect of the East End, and the desperation of those forgotten by society. For many, Jack the Ripper became more than a man. He became a symbol of evil, of what happens when a city turns its back on its people. Years passed. Decades later, new evidence surfaced. In 2014, scientists claimed that DNA on a shawl found near one of the victims matched the family line of Aaron Kosminski, but the results were disputed. Others believed the Ripper could have been a woman, Jill the Ripper. Some claimed he fled to America, continuing his crimes there. The truth remains elusive. Over 130 years later, Jack the Ripper's name still echoes through time. He has become a myth, a nightmare, a reminder of how little we truly understand about the human capacity for darkness. Books, films, documentaries, all still chase his shadow through the misty streets of Whitechapel. And yet, there's something more haunting than his crimes. It's the silence that followed. The idea that he lived out his life quietly, blending back into society. Maybe he was someone's neighbour, someone's husband, someone who smiled politely in the daylight while carrying the darkness of the night inside him. Who was Jack the Ripper? A skilled surgeon? A lunatic? A nobleman with a secret? Or a face so ordinary no one would ever suspect him? The answer remains locked in time. Perhaps the greatest mystery of all is not who Jack the Ripper was, but why he still fascinates us. Maybe it's because he represents the one thing we fear most, the evil that hides in plain sight. Now it's your turn. Who do you think Jack the Ripper really was? Was he a surgeon, a madman, or someone far closer to power than we ever imagined? Leave your theory in the comments. Let's see which one you believe. And if you enjoy exploring the forgotten corners of history, the dark, the mysterious, the unexplained, make sure to subscribe and join us again as we uncover the stories that time tried to bury. Because history never sleeps, and neither do its ghosts.